double cream, sugar, and a little touch of vanilla essence. That's everything it has. And I'm just going to pour it all into one of the saucepans. Just use your spatula. Don't waste anything, because particularly the sugar, most probably, as I was thinking, it's right at the bottom. And we're going to put this in a burner. Good. Put it onto high heat until it sort of starts bubbling, and then bring it right down, and we'll have to stir it so that all emulsifies together. If you do it with the whisk, even better. Okay, so that it helps bring in a bit more air into the mix and the olive oil sort of integrates better. And then in this other pan, I'm going to add the sugar and a touch of water. Really, the reality is that we don't need that water. And I'll give a brief explanation of why. Basically, what we are going to try to do is to do a caramel. Okay, so a caramel can be done very quickly without any water or with plenty of water. You know, at the end, we're always going to come to exactly the same point. That is, no water. You know, that water will dehydrate no matter how much you put, and suddenly the sugar will burn at some point and turn into caramel. Okay, so the less you put, or next to nothing, just stir it, and the quicker we'll get to the end, very much. And then here, while that happens, while I stir a little bit, I think I'm going to cut. Can I have another one? Thank you. I'm going to use my whisk. It's easy for all ingredients to integrate, but my sugar is going to burn at some point, particularly on the edges. I can see it happening because it's not induction, it's gas, so the heat is going to be mostly on the edges. So make sure that you do that swirl without that amount of energy constantly, otherwise it will burn at some point in some of the corners. Here we have some cherries from a tin, okay, preserved cherries, that we've drained the liquid and we've changed it by sweet cherry wine, Spanish wine, very aged, quite old, and that should give a really nice taste to the syrup that we are going to form and where the olives are going to cook. Remember, olives are salted in the curing process in a brine, so when you drain them and to make them sweet, we are going to need to sort of cook it into a sweet syrup. And you'll never be able to take out the saltiness, but you will be able to make them match very well with the sweetness, which is unusual to find olives in this edge. And I'm just trying to prove a point. You can see this would have happened with or without the water. So maybe just try without it. Just make sure that you swirl it better than I did. And just keep sort of whisking this so that the mixture, the goat cheese melts and comes together with the sugar that should dissolve as well. And what we want to create is a bit like a custard, nearly, a custard consistency, but without any egg. It's quite a simplistic way of doing custard, because double cream will reduce down a little bit, will concentrate, and with the help of the olive oil, the sugar, and the goat cheese, you'll just sort of thicken up quite quickly. You'll see in a minute. And as well, the longer you cook the cream, the same as the longer you cook milk, the toastier it tastes with time. And it's important to always sort of try to catch all the edges, because it will burn pretty quickly. even if it's only at one point that it hasn't been perfectly whisked. So you can start seeing there's some caramel forming in some of the sides. And we just need to wait until it has sort of a light golden color. We're looking at something like the cherry color. That's something that it's a terminology we use in Spain. You know, what point of the caramel. You have syrup, very light syrup, and so on, and we say the color of cherry. It's a terminology that we use, so quite appropriate. And then I'm going to switch it off. All right? Yeah, you can take a look if you want. But it has reduced down a little bit. Everything has melted. And even though we switch it off, we just need to keep stirring it every now and then so that it all cools down together. Otherwise it will split, like any sort of cheese-based sauce. Or like your carbonara at home. I'm sure most of you split it in sauce, right? It happens to me all the time, even at this time when, and that's because we don't whisk it enough, just so you know. Take a look. Nice and amber color. All right. So is it here when we are going to add the black olives? Caramelize a little bit. Be careful with the caramel though. Once it has turned into this color, it can burn really badly. And just after a few seconds, when it has reached this color, which is very much now, I'm going to just be careful. That's cherry, high alcohol, and just to flambe and let them now, the alcohol burn, and let them stew for about 5 minutes approximately. That should be sufficient. At the end, later, once it has cooled down a little bit, and this is important, we are going to put it back into this container, but make sure that it has cooled down a little bit, otherwise it will melt. Yeah, I'm not sure how resistant it is. I know it's resistant, but not sure the point. And exactly the same with the cheese. I'm going to just take a look. It just feels like white chocolate, when you melt white chocolate. You know, quite thick. You know, the consistency. It smells gas. No, it smells gas.
No? No more.
Yes, and just shake the pan a little bit every now and then so that some caramel crystals that has formed dilutes, and just let it cook slowly. Now, I think this has cooled down again. Anyway, it's a good exercise. We'll see if it has cooled down again. So that we all know. It's better only one making the mistake than all of us. I think it's going to be fine. And then, what you need to do is with a pen or a marker or a sticker, I don't know what, a marker pens, fantastic. Put your name, put the team name. You know, your couples and partners, so find a good name for your team. And just to finish off, how long it needs to reduce down? How do you guess when it has to finish? Well, in essence, we just need to guess, because what we are looking for is that when that cools down, it's like a bit of a syrupy consistency, but quite dense, like honey or maple syrup, that type of texture. That's what we are after. So it should feel very runny while it's hot, but quite dense later. And to me, that is now. I'm pretty certain I've nailed it. so I'm just gonna let it cool down for for a few minutes, and I put it back into here, and I'm gonna put my name and put it in the fridge. And you can all now start. You should have your ingredients in the table, I hope.